one of the things about the UN's work, I've always said in the Pacific or elsewhere for that matter, is not just to do projects. It is not just to take the funding from our wonderful development partners, in this case Australia, New Zealand, previously India, Luxembourg, and pass it on to others. It is to add some value. It is to make sure that we learn from what's happening elsewhere in the world, and indeed here, and be innovative in producing something that changes lives. In this Talanoa, that is what I had. In fact, 2 days ago, when I was asked was it 2 days ago, Krishnan, when you, last week, okay. He gave me a little more notice than 2 days, but he did ask me if I would come and speak at this event, and I said, who else is speaking? I believe Paul, Charlotte, you will be speaking as well as Adri. And I said, well, are we going to hear from the people who actually are part of this program? And at that point, we were not, right? I'm very, very happy to note that we will. But at the end of the day, it is your voices that we really need to hear. Why is it that we need to do this work that we're doing? And how is it going to make a difference? In fact, today I also heard from people who've already been part of this program. We've had 274 individuals who've been part of the social welfare part of the program, and we've had a couple of thousand farmers and small micro business owners who've been part of this program. So it wasn't just something that we are trying out that is new. It is indeed innovative, but it is something that has already been tried and tested, and now we need to take it to scale. So what is it that we are launching today? So those of you who don't know, PCAP is a joint program between UNDP, UNCDF, and the UN University Institute for Environment and Human Security. The launch today is of 2 new wind and rainfall cover products. It represents a program that is growing in both size and stature, and crucially demonstrates the potential it shows for further growth in Fiji and indeed across the Pacific. It was an interesting conversation again yesterday in terms of the expansion, because up to this point, it's been based purely on cyclonic winds. It has to be a category 1 or above before you can actually benefit from this insurance program. Today, we're going to be introducing wind and rainfall, which are going to be objectively measured. But I would like to be back here very soon, Adri and ambassadors, to announce as well an expansion to cover other disasters, including drought and flooding, because one of the things that we heard today from some of the farmers were the problems that they face in relation to flooding because of lack of drainage and so on. Now, it is also interesting because we had this pilot of 274 persons who are part of the social welfare program, and now we're going to be expanding that. Thanks to the UN's World Food Program, that pilot has been quite successful, and AG, I'm very happy to note that now the government is stepping in to also, in addition to the farmers, help finance the premium of $32 per annum for those who are on the social welfare programs. But of course, this is still a drop in the ocean, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why we need to put our heads together and figure out how to scale this even further. There are 90,000 people who are on the social welfare program in Fiji. How do we scale it? $32 a year into 90,000. We can do the math. And then there are farmers who are not part of this program because they're not part of cooperatives. We're working with about 9 different cooperatives and associations across all divisions in Fiji. That's fantastic, but why are we working only with farmers who are part of cooperatives and associations? We're working with farmers who are part of cooperatives and associations because we need to ensure that the premium of $100 per annum, or more frequently if you wish, because you may have multiple disasters, but the premium of $100 per annum needs to be paid by somebody. And so the cooperatives and associations have agreed to pay up front the premium for their members, so that the members can then pay in tranches to the cooperative. So in effect, this scheme is actually available to individual farmers, but that means individual farmers need to pay the premium up front themselves. And this is particularly difficult, as you can imagine, for those who are subsistence farmers. So as we scale this and we think about those who are most vulnerable, most disadvantaged, and most likely to be left behind because of the frequent disasters that we face in Fiji and the rest of the Pacific, disasters that you did not help to create, we need to ensure that when we say we will leave no one behind, we truly don't leave anyone behind.
The New Zealand High Commissioner to Fiji, the Australian Chargé Affairs, our UN Ambassador, Dr. Satendra Prasad, of our good friend Sanaka. Thank you for stealing most of the stuff that I was going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me much pleasure to be here this morning. I just wanted to put this into perspective. When we had Cyclone Winston in 2016, within 36 hours, 1/3 of the value of our GDP got wiped out. 1/3 of the value of our GDP. Now that puts into perspective the magnitude of climatic events that we as Pacific Islanders and indeed as Fijians actually face. Subsequently, we paid out $125 million for the first time ever where we had a Help for Homes program, where we assisted individuals who had lost their homes. If they lost their homes completely, we gave $7,000, $3,500 for partial damage, and $1,500 for those who lived on other properties. There's also a challenge that a lot of people lived on lands which they did not actually own or did not actually have a lease over, but they lived on what we call wakavanua arrangements. So in other words, the tendency that they had was predominantly at will. So your ability to also assist them fully was very limited. We subsequently had 3 cyclones, Josie, Kenny, and Gita, in which we again helped to the tune of $110 million for those people whose homes were damaged either through floodwaters, rainwaters, and wind. This type of assistance actually is unsustainable. We've had 14 cyclones since then. As I've said in recent times, when I was a young kid, I remember there was a cyclone Bibi, some of you are old enough to know that, in 1972. The next big cyclone came 10 years after that. Today, we get 3 cyclones in one season. If you don't get one cyclone, it's such a big deal. That's how significantly things have changed. So, when the Fijian government actually started talking about trying to address the issue of climate change, its impact on the Fijian economy, on the Fijian people, we had to be very innovative, not just in terms of developing products, but also developing relationships with multilateral agencies on a bilateral basis with our development partners to come up with solutions. You saw earlier on the board, we had Luxembourg contributed to some of the initiatives that we are on currently carrying out through Climate Change Division. We've had Terry from India, the Australian government, the New Zealand government, and various other partners, and of course now the UN, helping us develop products. To develop such a product is not necessarily very easy. We have the issue of reinsurers. Reinsurers predominantly sit in countries that are not vulnerable to climate change in the way that we are, the magnitude that we face. They may be sitting somewhere in Switzerland, they're sitting somewhere else, one of those what we call the metropolitan cities. So the ability to comprehend what we're doing and the way that they assess risk is very different. In the same way, if somebody's sitting in a head office somewhere else outside of Fiji and looking at risk from a banking financial perspective. So it is not actually an easy task. So I would like to thank the UN actually for developing this product and the various other partners that have been involved. And we cannot develop these products without the input, without the contribution, and indeed the understanding of the private sector. In this particular case, of course, we've had Sun Insurance and Fiji Care that have participated in providing this product together, working with the UN. The other point that I wish to also make is the capacity for a product and indeed a jurisdiction to have digital capacity to be able to deliver such products. Not only in terms of accessing information, collaboration of data, gathering data to be able to assess your risk, but also in terms of payments. Because as been highlighted by the two people who spoke, who are now part of the scheme, is that after a disaster, you need access to those funds almost immediately. So your ability to deliver that obviously must be digitally based. We've recently shown during COVID, and just to sort of digress slightly as we were talking earlier on, we launched this particular product exactly 1 year ago digitally during COVID. Of course, we are now gathered in this room without masks, and we are able to interact with each other. But during that period, of course, we rolled out something like $430 million in unemployment assistance. Apart from the about $220 million paid out through FNPF that government paid out, the balance of it, the one round of $90, the two rounds of $50, the two rounds of $360, all applications were made on the phone and all payments were made on the phone. So the digital capacity was critically important. People not having to form long queues, go up to various offices, catch a bus to go to the DO's office, or go to Provincial Administrator's office, or go to the Ministry of Social Welfare. They all did it from the comfort of their homes. And they all received the payment in the comfort of their homes. So these are essential ingredients in respect of rolling out such products. We, of course, as a government, recognize that, as I highlighted, it's not necessarily easy to roll out these products. We need everybody's collaboration. We are glad that now we have 5,000 individuals that have signed up to this particular product. Government has also, through the budget, removed VAT to be able to, for this particular product. So it becomes a lot more affordable. As also highlighted by Sanaka, we're now paying the premiums for those vulnerable people who are social welfare recipients, about 2,000 of them, who are living in areas that are far more prone to these climatic events, whether it's flooding, whether it's winds. And of course, we need to be able to build the number of beneficiaries, because the more people there are, the more attractive it becomes, and hopefully bring down the premium cost. Because if the pool of insured people becomes enlarged, then the risk as far as the insurer is concerned is slightly less. And the exposure for them is less. So therefore it is in our interest to ensure that it does expand. This, of course, I'd like to also remind, some of you may not know this, but we also started what we call the micro-insurance program. The dairy farmers, the sugarcane farmers, the copra farmers, the rice farmers. For basic what we call micro-insurance, so if somebody dies in the family, the insured person, the families actually benefit from it. For funeral expenses, if there's a fire, the home catches fire, there's also fire insurance. They're not astronomically large sums of money, but they're good sums of money for the amount of money that you pay as premium, which is $52 in a year. And you can get up to $3,000 for fire insurance. A lot of farmers have now signed up for this. That, coupled with this now parametric insurance, gives a range of protections for those most vulnerable. And that's critically what we are working on. The other point I want to make, which also Sanaka talked about, is the expansion of the actual product itself, to cover flood waters and also the inundation through various other climatic events. I'd like to once again acknowledge the Australian and New Zealand governments. They are represented here for the input, for supporting the Pacific Insurance and Climate Adaptation Program. This, of course, we can also take a leaf out of this page for the rest of the Pacific Island countries, because if this is successfully launched, it can actually become a pilot program, if you like, for the rest of the Pacific, where they themselves can actually roll out these products into their own countries. So, ladies and gentlemen, without saying anything further, it gives me much pleasure, of course, to launch this particular product. I'd like to thank all those who've been involved in this. This is a growing area. We want to get a lot more of a nuanced approach to developing the products. A bit more sophistication is required, and of course, we ask all the development partners who are here, including our bilateral partners, to be able to use their convening power to convince many of the reinsurers, because ultimately they are the ones who will determine how accessible these products are and the actual cost of these products. And we, in fact, following Glasgow last year, we met up with, for example, Lloyd's Insurance. We understand they'll be here soon, or this week, or next week actually. And we hope to further those discussions. And it can only be through an appreciation of what we are going through and our requirements that we'll be able to provide a lot better coverage for ordinary Fijians, and that is, of course, our objective, and that's why we are here. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Attorney General, Minister for Economy, Mr. Khaiyum, invited guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Bulavinaka to you all. My name is Samaseini Koroi, and I am a sugarcane farmer living in Wombua in the west in Lautoka. I used to be a school teacher, but my heart was always in farming, and I love what I do. It's such a pleasure and great honor to me to be here today. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my experience and views with you all today. In the Western Division, where I come from, we are badly affected by extreme weather events almost every year. Over the years, financial coping with damage from floods and strong winds have become a significant challenge. It was a great challenge to us farmers. Farmers like me have few financial options available to us in the immediate aftermath of a flood or cyclone. Assessing quick loan during such difficult times sounds expensive, least option. Our other option is to sell off our income-generating assets like farming tools or livestock. This helps us meet our financial needs in the immediate term, but leaves in a much weaker financial position in the long run. I'm extremely happy that we now have a third and preferred option, the parametric insurance. When the product was first explained to me by Sugarcane Growers Council, I jumped at the opportunity to sign up. Prior to parametric insurance, we didn't have any cover to protect our investments against the damage caused by extreme weather. We are today extremely happy to sign up for the product. It is a ray of hope for farming communities through the country, especially the sugarcane farmers. I'm even more excited to learn about the new products launched today, provide even a wider coverage for rainfall-related risks. Quite a number of sugarcane farmers will sign up for parametric insurance in my community. We feel relieved that a solution is now available, and there is a definite sense of confidence about the future. We look forward to working in close collaboration with Sugarcane Growers Council, UNCDF, and the insurance providers for a sustainable livelihood for the farming community. Vinaka Vakalevu.
Bula Vinaka, and good morning to all. Good morning to the officials who are seated right at the front table. Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. As one of the 1,400 shareholders of the Darlow Dairy Farmers Cooperative Association, I'm delighted to be here for the launch of this new parametric insurance product. Our cooperative was amongst the first organization to sign up for the parametric insurance. We presented the product to our board of directors of the Darlow Dairy Farmers Cooperative Association, and they had the vision to accept it as a good way to protect our shareholders, who are villages across the 141 villages within the province. The entire communities in the Darlow province relies on farms, on agricultural farms to sustain themselves and put their children through school. This is the reason why we believe parametric insurance can play a vital role in protecting our farming communities against extreme weather events. The cooperative was part of the pilot phase of this product that was launched last year on 25th August. Through our field outreach and awareness to the 141 villages, we managed to enroll 177 households last year to be part of the parametric insurance pilot project. We also provided extreme feedback to the program with the UNCDF staff and how the product can be improved based on conversations with our shareholders. It is very pleasing to see that our suggestions were taken on board in the enhancements of the product. We believe that many people will benefit from this new product. For our cooperative members, the changes are very much welcome. We thank UNCDF for taking our feedback into consideration. Our members realize the importance of insurance, and we expect to expand the number to more than 400 households this year.
Nisambola Vanaka and kia ora everybody. I always think it's one of life's great ironies to get a technophobe to help launch a digital product. But let me at the outset acknowledge the Honourable Attorney General and the other dignitaries that are here, and maybe start on that note. So New Zealand is a country that knows something about insurance. We have a long history of earthquakes. And to use an example, I think everyone in this room will know about the Christchurch earthquake that happened. But if you live in New Zealand, that's not one event. That's over 300,000 separate events. So you have the two big earthquakes that everybody knows about, and then you have all of the other earthquakes and the land subsidence and the slides that go on after that time. And I feel like the opportunity to work on this project with UNCDF and with Fiji as key co-collaborators is something of a journey about taking some of our own lessons that we've learnt at home and are continuing to learn at home and having a chance to put those into a regional discussion. So 1 year ago, as the Attorney General has noted, during the midst of COVID, we launched the Pacific's first parametric micro-insurance product, which was aimed to address this persistent development challenge. So the lack of affordable and accessible climate risk insurance product for smallholder farmers, for fishers and for other vulnerable parts of the community in the Pacific. It is exactly the same set of issues that we have in New Zealand. We have remote rural communities, we have people who work on the land, we have a persistent set of events for which it is very hard to get affordable and accessible insurance cover. Prior to the 2021 launch, there were no such insurance products available in the Pacific, and I think we all felt that gap keenly. Insurance in general, as the AG has mentioned, was seen as something that happened in cities for people who had many means and a service sort of exclusively available to high-income city dwellers. But climatic events and extreme weather events don't just happen in cities. And so I think part of the genesis of this project was a really implicit understanding that we needed to have solutions that responded to local context and that worked for us. And in that vein, I would like to really commend the work that's been done by UNCDF and the Pacific Insurance and Climate Change Adaptations Program work, because it has, I think, revolutionised the insurance market. It's given us a set of products, so we now have 4 products in the market, and none of these existed a year ago. And for the first time, we've got local insurance companies opening their doors to mass markets and using innovative strategies like bundled insurance to capture those who have traditionally been not able to be insured. And when I looked at the images up on the stage before, I also want to commend the really significant amount of consultation and co-design that's gone into this project. People have come out into communities, they have sat with people, they have listened to what the needs are, they have thought about the local context, they've thought about the context in which these products are actually used, and they have designed around those operational realities. That is something that we don't do enough of, I think, in the global community more generally. I'm really pleased to see that we are being able to lead some of that work as a Pacific community here in Fiji, and I thank both Fiji for the leadership, but also the leadership of the UN in bringing people together to do this. So there's been an impressive portfolio of people who've come together to work on this, and I can see many of you in the room today, and I absolutely echo Sanaka's comments in terms of the need to hear from the voices that are most impacted by this work, so thank you for sharing those stories with us. Leveraging the private sector support has also had the effect of catalysing a market to develop innovative solutions. And so, for example, the underwriting partners, and the Aiyaz mentioned them, Fiji, Care and Sun Insurance, are looking at group policy products. And that helps to widen our protection mechanisms, it helps to close that gap, and it also helps to broaden the value proposition for other private sector investors. And I encourage all of them to heed what is being launched here today and to come on board. I would like to, though, acknowledge both companies, both Fiji Care and Sun Insurance, for stepping up in an area which was once considered by us to be uncharted territory. And I think that gets the attention of the wider world. The Aiyaz already mentioned Lloyd's coming here in the next couple of weeks. Other people are starting to realise that there is a value and a need and a market value for these products to be offered as well. I also know that Tower Insurance from my own country is looking at whether or not they're able to offer parametric microinsurance in Fiji as well, and in other countries in the region too. So for us, this is part of our wider regional set of solutions where Fiji is really well placed to be one of the leading figures that demonstrates that proof of concept. I also want to acknowledge that this requires a system-wide approach. And so in July last year, when the Fijian government decided to grant VAT exemption for premiums on climate and disaster risk parametric insurance products, that makes a difference. And I want to thank the Fijian government for taking that forward-looking step and for continuing to do that today. It is those system-wide changes and the two parts of both the policy and the production piece working together that help us to actually bring some of these things to life. So we've been really pleased to be a partner in this project. It sits well with the other work that we do on climate change and disaster risk reduction priorities, and as I've mentioned before, it's a set of issues that's really close to New Zealand's heart because we have exactly these challenges at home as well. And we have a long history in the region, I think, of talking about insurance. We have a long history in the region of talking about disaster risk reduction, how we respond to increasing frequent weather events and to extreme vulnerabilities that sit on the land that are compounded by frequent weather events happening, more frequently and with increasing severity. And I feel like the work that we're doing in this space responds to both of those priorities. So we hope to see the program expand in the coming years. Others have mentioned that Fiji is a leader in this space along with our UN partnerships and others, and it provides a platform to demonstrate what is possible in the wider Pacific community. My hope that the product that we launched today and the digital technology, which I'm slightly terrified to be launching, but I totally agree is a game changer for those who live in remote communities who may otherwise struggle to access transport or to be able to go into town to set these things up. I hope that paves a pathway to sort of consolidate a portfolio of innovative solutions like this in the future. Binaka Bakali.
Attorney General and Minister for Economy, Civil Service, Communications, Housing and Community Development, the Honourable Aiyaz Sayed-Khaiyum, Her Excellency Charlotte Darlow, New Zealand High Commissioner Mr Sanaka, Samarasinha, UN Resident Coordinator, and I know he's had to leave the room, but I also wanted to acknowledge the Fijian Permanent Representative to the United Nations in New York, Ambassador Prasad, colleagues from the Fijian government, diplomatic corps, development partners, representatives of the private sectors, CSOs, cooperatives and partner agencies, UN agency colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Bula Vanaka. Like others who've spoken here, I sort of want to drift away from the remarks on the written page. But I do want to just say how pleased I am to join all of you here today for the launch of this new parametric microinsurance product for the Fijian market. This is another milestone for UNCDF's Pacific Insurance and Climate Adaptation Program. And as others have noticed, it was a year ago today when the program virtually launched its first microinsurance amid COVID-19 restrictions. So it's wonderful to be here today in person for this launch. Today's launch marks the creation of an enhanced and improved version of that original product. And what's really great about this is that it's been developed in response to market demands and incorporates customer feedback. Charlotte mentioned the importance of consultation in the process of programming and development of products such as these, and so I'm really pleased that staff from the Australian High Commission have been fortunate to accompany the program team on some of their monitoring and consultation visits this year, and really got to hear about the needs of Fijians, and that's so important. And I also just want to thank Sanaka for his encouragement for ensuring that those voices are heard today as well, because we can stand here and make our remarks, but seeing how products such as these make a difference is really important. So I want to thank you, but also thank others who've spoken today about their experiences. So I want to acknowledge the efforts made to ensure that accompanying digital solutions have also incorporated gender equality, disability and social inclusion priorities. Australia is a proud and long-standing partner of the UNCDF's work in the Pacific, and we're really, as Charlotte has mentioned, in the context of Australia, of New Zealand, and certainly I can do so in the context of Australia, we understand the importance of insurance as a critical tool that helps households in our countries, and it's certainly no less the case here in the Pacific for both households and businesses, especially to recover from severe weather events. And these new products, which are being launched today, will really help address what we consider now to be the region's foremost challenge, which is climate change. And the fact that these products have been designed for a broader range of customers, as I said, is really important. And again, that the importance of those individual stories that we've heard today ringing through, which really highlight the value of these products. It's also very pleasing to see the strong involvement from the private sector, who are important partners in our pursuit of sustainable development. So I want to join others in thanking everyone involved in this project: underwriters, Fiji Care, Sun Insurance and Tower Insurance, and the co-implementing partners, the UNDP and UN University's Institute for Environment and Human Security. And again, thank you, Krishna, and the team at UNCDF for working through the pandemic to deliver these robust results. Finally, I want to thank our Vivale partners, the Government of Fiji, and give thanks to the New Zealand Government for your continued support for the program. We look forward to working with you in the coming years as the program matures, and I'm pleased to say also expands into other parts of the Pacific, notably Vanuatu and Tonga. Vanaka Vakalevu.